Welcome back to Range Time. I'm your host, Ghost, and we're here today to talk about the workbench, the gun wall, and the gun safe. When you turn to your left in ACE, you're going to see the gun rack, you're going to see the workbench, and you're going to see the gun safe. As you work your way around the room, you'll see there are some pop-ups to kind of assist you with what each of these functions do. When we first turn to our left and we look at the gun bench, for example, I can point my gun at it and it highlights green. This will allow me to put my currently equipped gun on the bench to work on it, right? So we're going to pretend like I've already got some guns on the wall and I've got my Sig Legion in my hand and I want to change my dot brightness, right? So I go ahead and put the gun on the table by pulling the trigger at the table, and it'll actually display what my gun is, right? It'll display what optic I have equipped, and we can actually work through each one of the settings here: optics, front sights, rear sights, slides, magazines, and skins. Some of these customization options aren't developed yet. They're in development, and the devs are working hard to get us more customization into the game. So if you go to example skins, there aren't any available yet. In time, hopefully we'll see a couple of different skins come out for the different guns. But in this scenario, I want to work on changing my optic brightness. In order to do so, the gun has to be on the table. I have to equip an optic, so I would click attach if one wasn't. But in this case, I have the Sig 3 Romeo Max attached. And I'll hit the gear wheel here by pulling the trigger. Some optics have different reticles, which you can change by going back and forth on these arrows here. In the case of the Romeo 3 Max, it only has one reticle and 8 MOA. I can change my brightness here. I believe there are 8 brightness levels, and you can see how that impacts over here on the display, which also you can use the arrows here to see on the ranges to determine if that brightness is going to work for you. You can work through that. So, for example, here on a Steel Challenge stage, brightness 8 might be too bright for me, and maybe I want to turn that down to a brightness 3. Right? And you can see how that looks on a white background as well. So when you crank that all the way up, you're going to find your eye is going to suck right into that, and you're not going to be able to focus on anything else. Turn it all the way down, though, and if you have aging eyes like me, you might not be able to see probably the equivalent of a 2 MOA dot. So me personally, I like it around a 3 or 4, depending on how I'm doing that day. You can click info up here as well. So it's actually incorrect. There are 8 brightness settings, but it's actually a 4 MOA reticle, right? So we want to make sure that we have that kind of considered, because other reticles or other dots such as the Holosun 507 comp, and I'm maneuvering up and down in this menu by using the trigger to the wall and dragging up and down, right? So here, let's say, for example, I want to use the 507 comp. I would click attach. I would go to my gear wheel and make sure that my settings are correct for what I want. So maybe I want reticle, I don't know. Let's go with reticle 2, right? So that's about an 8 MOA dot in real life, right? Brightness is way too bright for me, so we'll turn that down. And there we go. We'll go ahead and X out of that. Now, I have the 507 comp attached to my gun instead of the Romeo 3. I can go ahead and point at my gun. It highlights gold, pull the trigger on it, and it comes back to my hand. And I can take a quick look through the window. Yeah, that looks pretty good for me. So let's say I like this gun configuration. I can go ahead and point over here to my gun rack. And when one of the rack spaces highlights green, pull the trigger at it, and it actually puts the gun on the wall. So now I can go to view my collection, select another gun to work on, click quick equip, and now I have my Iron Sight Legion in my hands as well. We can put that on the wall. And let's go back to see now. Here's a problem. I've got 2 Legions with a Holosun 507 comp. This one's in slot 0, which is here on the wall. This one is hidden because it's in the gun safe. So we'll go ahead and quick equip here. It's now in my hand. Came out of the gun safe. I can put it on the wall. I can bring it off the wall and put it in the gun safe to put it away, and it will display as hidden. At any one time, you can only have 8 guns on the wall. So when you think, oh no, my guns are all missing, sometimes that happens with an update. You just have to go back to the bench. Find the gun that you're looking for by going to the wall of the trigger, clicking quick equip, and it'll actually bring it out of the safe, right? So now I have my Rock Island Armory 5.0E in my hand. Again, if I want to customize anything on it, point at the bench, pull the trigger, I can attach optics. I can take off the front sight if I don't want one. These other options for this particular gun aren't in play, so we'll go ahead and take it. We can see our front sight is now removed, but we didn't really change anything else. What if we wanted to change, for example, magazine size? So we go ahead and go back to, oh, let's see, maybe a staccato, right? A staccato C2. And I'll quick equip one out of there. It's in my hand. Let's put it down on the bench. I can actually increase magazine size and attach it if I want to work reloads. Again, I don't use reloads in Ace, but it's something neat. If you want to, you can attach and see in the game, that's now a 23 round stick. If I want to make it smaller, I can do that by going back into top part here, 10 round mag. And there you go. Again, front sight, we currently have, I think it's the green. Give it a second. It's the green tall one. We'll attach the excess front sight. Sometimes you gotta shoot a little bit to get the optic to engage. And then, yeah, you can see I have the excess front sight in there as well. Okay. When you first start Ace, you'll be given a voucher for a gun and an optic. You can come over here and redeem those by purchasing the gun, and then when you're in the gun, right? So we'll go ahead and select it like we just picked that one. We'll have the gun in our hand. We can set it down on the bench and redeem our optic voucher as well here. As you level up, though, you can unlock all of the optics, all of the guns, and you can see by level 24, you'll have more than enough brass. You won't know what to do with it, right? So that's all for the workbench for now. If you're ever missing a gun, it's because you put it in the safe. Just go back to the wall. You'll see that you still own that same amount of guns. Go to view my collection, find the one that you want. It'll say hidden probably. Quick equip brings it back to your hand, and then you can put it back on the wall. That's all I have for you today, and I hope I'll see you next time.